This video is brought to you by the Morpheus Network. Hi guys, it's ASBYT and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today we're talking about Apple, we're talking about iPhones, we're talking about the iPhone 10 Plus. So welcome back to a brand new video, like I said. Now of course you will all know that every year Apple will release their new products in and around September time. Now of course the new big thing in 2017 was the iPhone 10 in the fact that it was the first one to have the OLED display, the edge-to-edge display, getting rid of the forehead and the chin, although they left the forehead in the shape of a notch, but we won't go into that. It was different, and some people liked it, some people hated it, but it was there, it was out. From all accounts, it didn't do quite as well as Apple were intending, and the majority of the reasons down to that were A, the notch, but also the size of the display. Now, each year, phones are getting bigger and bigger, and even though the forehead and the chin had shrunk, and the screen-to-body ratio was larger, it was still a small phone with only a 5.8-inch display, whereas we're now looking at phones like, for example, when I did a review on the U.S.A. T2 Pro. As a consumer base, it seems that larger is better with phones. Now recently we had a massive leak with regards to the manufacturing of the iPhone 10 Plus. Now, in terms of the name, we're not sure whether it is going to be the iPhone 10 Plus or whether it's going to be marketed as the iPhone 11 series this year. We're not too sure. But one thing we do know is that, like I mentioned, this leak has come out supposedly from a warehouse in Vietnam, one of the LG facilities, which of course is where Apple are doing a lot of their work this year for their OLED displays. And it's clear as day to see that it is a much larger display than we're used to, but still has the exact same form factor as the iPhone 10. So as you can see there, it's looking like a whopping 6.5-inch display, which if that were the case, if that were to happen, that would please a lot of people in that big phone market. Now, as well as obviously appearing to resemble the iPhone 10 in everything other than its size, you can also make out some Apple markings below this screen, which again, if it's a true leak and it's not a Photoshop leak, then of course that would suggest that it is definitely the making of the new Plus model, which is going to be out in 2018 around September time. And there was also a second picture leaked which clearly shows the OLED panels themselves, and they obviously appear too big to be the iPhone 10 panels. So again, we are thinking they are the Plus model version of this design. Now of course on that screen you can only see really fine bezels, and some people think that's how it's going to actually look when it's released, but of course I wouldn't have thought so due to the fact that you have to add the actual back to the phone, the size to the phone. I would imagine it's going to resemble the exact same form factor as the iPhone 10 last year, just with a larger display. Now there have been many reports in recent months to do with the iPhone production line, and one such report came in from Mark Gurman, who works for Bloomberg, and he's basically said that according to sources, Apple will be creating the largest ever iPhone and one of the largest ever phones on the market, which again would fit in with this 6.5-inch display leak, and that one of the models this year is going to be larger than the Samsung Note 8. So that kind of just gives you an idea of just how large this phone is going to be. And he's also backed up the leaks by saying it's going to look exactly the same pretty much as the iPhone 10, just an inch larger in sort of diagonal space. Yeah. He also goes on to say that the actual interface, the OS that will run alongside it, will utilize the sort of rotate function like you see on the iPhone Plus models in the past, and of course like the iPads and things like that, which you of course can't do on the standard iPhone 10. Some leaks are saying that the larger screen is also going to have a larger resolution. 1242 by 2688 is the latest leak. This is of course mainly conjecture at this moment in time. There isn't too much information on that. If that were the case, that would basically suggest you'll have pretty much exactly the same sharpness because it's a larger resolution but it's over a larger screen size. Now before I touch on what many people believe the three main products from Apple are going to be this year in terms of their iPhone range, there's a couple more sort of rumours in terms of the fact that we're likely to see a gold colouring again this year, which we saw on the iPhone 5, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think, and a possible dual SIM setup as well, because that is it's a very popular feature for many different consumers, and a lot of providers are actually, allowing you to do that, where of course Apple haven't ever really done it. But then there's also rumors that Apple are trying to actually include the technology which will allow you to not use a SIM card at all, and you'll just use the technology inside to link up to your carrier, as opposed to actually having to have a physical bit of hardware. So the final point of today is going to be on the actual 3 stages of this lineup. So apparently we're going to be getting a iPhone 10 upgrade, so whether, like I said, it's going to be along the same lines in terms of name, or whether they are going to jump to the iPhone 11. So let's just call it the iPhone 11 for now. The iPhone 11 is going to be a basic upgrade on the iPhone 10 in terms of performance, but it's going to look almost identical. Then you're going to get this Plus model, which of course we've been discussing in more detail during this lineup, which is going to be very, very similar, but obviously with the larger display. And of course, we are led to believe we're getting a cheaper version of the iPhone as well this year, which is also going to have this sort of bezel-less, minus the notch display, but of course it's not going to have certain features. It's like wireless charging, for example. It's only going to have one instead of the dual camera, and have an LCD display as opposed to the OLED, which we're going to see on the other 2 models, which of course would mean they could bring it in cheaper if they don't have all of those functions. There may be other functions that they will drop as well in order to bring the price down, but that is certainly an area that some of you guys who are looking for an iPhone at a cheaper sort of area, that might be something that you might be interested in. Of course, as with everything Apple, they aren't going to be cheap products in general. They will be fairly expensive. It's just a case of whether you honestly think they are worth it. You will have people who constantly buy Apple products and swear by them, and then you'll have people that avoid them like the plague due to the price. And sometimes the performance, especially if you are an Android lover, for example. So at the start of the video, I mentioned Morpheus Network, and Morpheus, which I'll shorten it to, was actually designed in consultation with the world's largest financial, shipping and custom firms to create a global automated supply chain platform for the trading industry using blockchain technology. Now, for a start, if you don't know what blockchain technology is, or you don't know what cryptocurrencies are in general, then I would strongly recommend you go to a video which I did on a beginner's guide, which is just my personal interpretation of the area. I'm in no way a financial advisor. So back to Morpheus, and in layman's terms, every single year, approximately $2 trillion are lost in global trade due to high banking fees and conversion rates, errors in contracts, etc., and slow payments and document transfers. So what Morpheus has been able to do using the Ethereum blockchain technology, and Ethereum is one of the most probably well-known cryptocurrencies alongside Bitcoin, and using this technology alongside smart contract technology, it basically automates any company's supply chain, helping to solve all the problems causing lost revenue that I actually mentioned earlier. So as an example, imagine a global manufacturer is running low on stock parts to build a product. The Morpheus network will then, through its smart contracts, would alert each part supplier, and payments would then be requested from the head company to all the suppliers. So this would then mean no banking fees, real-time currency conversion rates, and these payments can then be sent to approximately 1,600 banks globally due to the Swift integration. As a result, the whole company's supply and demand chain is basically automated. It's not only quicker by far, but also more cost efficient as well. And the beauty of it, it can work for businesses great and small. So even if the business is a small one and only has a few suppliers and a few bits here and there, it will still completely streamline the whole affair, boosting efficiency and profit, and would take all of the worry, all of the hassle over chasing documents and payments and things like that. So take me as an example. I use PayPal for pretty much most of my transactions, and with fees and conversion rates, you know, if I worked out over the course of a year how much money that would be wasted on that, it's pretty frightening. So I know what you're thinking, why are you telling me this? Well, this is where you guys come in. So if you go to their website, which I will leave listed in the video description below, they have all the information regarding their technology, and if you want any more information, like I said, I would highly recommend going over there, and they will be able to show it to you, whether it's on their website, or of course they have a contact section as well, where you can get in touch, you can email them, Telegram, etc. And you can basically buy what's known as Morph tokens, in the same way that you can buy any cryptocurrency. It's basically like digital money. This is a similar sort of thing, so you can basically buy into the Morph tokens, which are then used in all of these smart contract transactions. So if you think that this technology has some serious potential, then it is certainly something that that you might want to look at. And of course, you can purchase tokens if you so wish. As you can see here, they have a public pre-sale that's now on. I'm not too sure how many of those tokens will be sold, because at the moment about half have been sold. I'm not sure how many will be left by the time this video goes out, but there's some key information and there's questions and answers, and you can get in touch like I mentioned if you want more information. Let me know what you think about these rumors and leaks in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Like and share if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful. Subscribe and hit that little notification bell if you want to be notified every time I post a video on anything tech, whether that be smartphones, Android boxes, laptops, computers, tablets, software and apps as well. We do it all here. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. So ASBYT, peace out.